Hello, Namaste, Sasrikal. Good evening. Welcome to the S.S.Chandhok talk show. I'm your host and moderator, S.S. Chandhok. Today, we are going to speak on a very special topic. We're talking about blended learning in mathematics. The main purpose of this season is to find out the causes where the middle school children they find difficult to to do mathematics, and how we can find out the ways that these remedies, these problems can be removed from the children. Today we have very special guests from all the parts of the country. Uh, first of all, we have Santosh Vyas, ma'am. She is the Prince. Santosh, welcome, ma'am. Ma'am is the principal of very prestigious school, Sadhu Vaswani School, Delhi. Welcome, ma'am. Thank you so much once again for coming.
Thank you.
Ma'am has a very, I think experience of more than 3 decades in the education industry. Rest we'll like to have it from ma'am. Ma'am, please let us know about yourself. First of all, thank you for coming again. And please let us know about yourself. Did you came into this profession by chance or by choice? And how did you rose from a teacher to a principal right now, a senior principal actually right
It was actually by choice, coming to school. I've taught in university also, sir, DU, but no regrets. Coming to school was a different experience altogether. Journey has been quite interesting, inspiring, and full of learning. Because working with children with of this age group teaches you so many other things. You learn a lot of patience, life skills, all that you're transacting. You want your children to learn. First, you have to imbibe, and then only you can implement the same. So it has been very interesting, encouraging, inspiring, and transforming journey. And 3 decades, as you said, yes, from a teacher to head various departments in the school, as HOD, as a coordinator, as academic supervisor of the school, then vice principal to principal. And I mean, a lot we have learned in all these positions.
now? That's
That is
amazing. That's amazing, ma'am. You have a wonderful experience. I've been knowing you, and I've been knowing about you also from the other principals also. That how beautifully you are handling the school and you're bringing up the standard of the school. And thank you so much, ma'am, for coming once again. Then we have Mr. Arindam Roy Ghosh, Chaudhary, sir. He's the principal of DD Goenka Public School, Jammu. Sir also is a very experienced person with different, he has worked at different levels with the different schools. Welcome, sir, and thank you so much for coming. It's nice to have you here on the first time for the show. And please let us know about yourself, sir, for the same. How did you came into this profession, and what
Thank you.
was your journey as an educator?
Okay, thank you so much. And it's absolutely wonderful to be here. Chandok sir, I've been following your YouTube channel and able to hear a lot of good speakers and educators and professionals in your platform. Yes, my journey was more like a chance that became a choice later. So I was into research, and then I came into by chance I got into teaching, which then became my passion and love. And of course, my subject mathematics, which is very close to my heart. And that has brought me into this teaching. And I stayed back, though I did not want to stay back into teaching, but I came here for a few months, but it turned out to be 27 years. So that's something which is really marvelous, and I'm just loving it. And yes, of course, I'm more of an academician than an administrator. You can so you can always say that my heart lies into the classroom, and that's what it is. But yes, no regret. I'm loving it. That's all.
So which was your first school, sir, as a teacher?
Yes, I was associated with a very old, 100 years old school in Raipur called Rajkumar College, and that's so it's an IPS member also, IPSC member, as well as it's an ICSE school. And that's where my journey started. And though it was for some time, but that's where the love for the teaching came in. And I was supposed to be there to help, but then finally it turned out to be there itself. And that's how my journey as a teacher
So
started.
you're basically from Jammu only.
No, no, I'm not from Jammu. I've just come to Jammu maybe
Okay.
2020. Yeah, I am basically from Calcutta, and
Okay.
I was born and brought up in Jamshedpur. And yeah, so I moved to down south in Belgaum, in Karnataka. I was there for almost 14 years, and yeah, I there was a startup school which I actually was a part of, and took that school to the next 14 years, and now I've shifted to GD Goenka Group, and that's how I
Amazing.
am here. So
Amazing, sir. Amazing. You have a
thank you.
wonderful experience. And does it looks at that you have an experience of 27 years? You seem to be very young. Yeah,
Yes,
just
that's the advantage of my face, I suppose. I look younger than what I am.
that's great, sir. That's great, sir. Uh, thank you so much. Thank you so much for coming, sir, joining us, sir. Next, we have Deepika Sharma, ma'am. She is the principal of Grand Columbus School, which is a very prestigious school in Faridabad. Welcome, ma'am, once again. It's nice to see you after a long time again. And ma'am has done wonderful work in the field of education. We like to know from herself only. Please, ma'am, people will like to know about you, about your educational journey. How did you came into this profession, and from a teacher to a principal, senior
Good
principal,
evening,
actually.
everyone. Thank you, Mr. Chandok, for having me. And it's always humbling coming here to your show. I get to know so much. So I guess being into teaching is something which came naturally to me right from a time when my mom, being a social worker and teaching in the slums at the age of 14, 15 during the summer holidays, to getting married and coming to Faridabad. And I think my first school was Delhi Public School, and that's where I started from as teacher. But I have been into administration. Like, I think within a month or so, I became the house mistress. So I have almost the same number of years in administration as I have in the teaching. So for me, it's about 28 years into this line. Have loved every part of it. Love doing activities, especially love being with the children. And I guess that's why Mr. Chaudhary looks younger too. When you're always with the kids, that's how you feel. So I guess that's for all of us. And so I've been heading school since 2010. And now I love something very close to my heart, besides the on the world platform, which is environment, is training the trainers, which I feel is the dire need for the whole country as such. And even if you have a vision, you want to implement it on the ground, you need your team to do that, and the team needs to be trained. So I feel that's become very close to my heart, and I've been doing it. And the whole idea to found the CBSE Sahoday at Faridabad was also the same. We hold a lot of workshops. So really enjoyed doing what I do. And the whole idea of not even allowing my students to stay at home. Yesterday they finished their 10th exam, and today they were in school in 11th. It's the whole idea, because I don't like school without my kids. So been here and loved all that has happened, and all that I've done and evolved to whatever level I have. I'm thankful for all. I'm thankful for all the fellow educators who've been teachers in their own way, and I've learned from all of them. Thank you so much.
That's amazing, ma'am. You have a wonderful experience with all the schools you have worked. Thank you so much for coming once again, ma'am. Next, we
Thank you.
have Richa Dikshit, ma'am. She is the principal of Green Valley School for Children. It's in Gandhinagar, Gujarat. Welcome, ma'am. Thank you so much for coming, Richa, ma'am. Please let us, yeah, please introduce yourself and let us know about yourself.
Thank you, Chatok sir, for having me here today. And a very good evening to all the eminent panelists present today here in the show. So I'm an educator basically from heart. And I'm into education field for almost 15 years now, handling the administrative positions for almost 9 years. I started my career with Delhi Public School and then moved to GD Goenka International School, then to Hillwoods, and some other schools also of repute. So now currently I'm working with different minds, weaving all of them in a single thread, working towards a common goal and common vision. So, and the question which you asked, like I take pride in saying that I am a teacher, I am an educator by heart, by choice, and not by chance. So it is in my blood, as my mother started a preschool. And since then, I was wanted to be a teacher, wanted to be in this field of education, shaping up the uh, careers, shaping up the characters. So I'm here, and I take pride in all of this, that I'm an educator by profession. So I have handled various positions across in my career. So starting from biology teacher to robotics instructor, to managing nature club, to setting up the pre-foundation IIT at the school, to headmistress, to coordinator, to principal now. So it's been a wonderful journey. Thank you so much. And I believe in growing by experience.
That's great, ma'am. Thank you so much, ma'am, for coming, ma'am. Next, we have Nirmal Shah, sir. He's the co-founder of Counting Well. He is the co-founder of Counting Well, a maths learning app for middle schoolers. The goal is to make mathematics learning easy, anxiety-free, and participative for children across the country. Their focus is to help the so-called average students become more confident with maths and develop great problem-solving skills. They step in where school teachers are not able to provide personalized attention due to lack of time and bandwidth. He is also designing make a career and life lesson course for the age group of 10 to 14 built around mathematics. Their concept is kids must know that maths matter and it will matter throughout their life. The best way to do that is to show them how. And practically talking about, sir, that as we know, as you know, that I take up different topics and I try to find out different experts in the subject. When I met Nirmal sir, we met in one of the show where we were as the co-speakers. And when I came to know about the concept of AI-based learning of mathematics, which solved the problem of especially the middle school students, so it came into my mind that what we used to do when we were in the middle school, what fear was in us, as well as right now also. Let me tell you, when I invite many of the principals, they say that we love to come to a show, but mathematics is not our forte. We don't want to come over there. So there, what it happens is, when the people like principals, they say like this, that so we are not calling here for for the calculations or doing mathematics work. We are calling to discuss on it. So what about the students then? So it came to my mind that I should start up a new season, and I requested Nilbar sir to come up for a few shows and as an expert, tell us, guide us, and solve all the problems relating to the students which are based on the middle schools. So coming up to Nirmal sir. Nirmal sir, welcome and thank you so much again for coming in the show. Please let us know about yourself and how did it came to mind to start up this concept, and what is this actually counting well?
Thank you for calling me again, sir. And it's great to be amongst such eminent people. Every show or every episode that I've been in has always been a learning experience. So fantastic being here. So why we started Counting Well? We are a business, so obviously it was with a business idea in mind. But why we really started with maths learning is because of some background, you may say. So I started looking at my son, who was just getting into middle school about 4 years back. And I could see the struggle that he was going through when it came to learning maths. And my co-founder and I, we've been friends for almost more than 20 years. And we were talking about this. And we said, why not do something which can help children like my own son? So we designed an assessment which would kind of help us understand why the children are struggling. That was our goal. My goal was to find out why my son is struggling, right? So we tried to understand how they solve maths problems, totally from an outsider point of view, right? I don't come from a teaching background or an education background. So my co-founder does not come from that background either. So we looked at it from a very outside perspective. And what we realized is that when children try to solve maths problems, what happens is that in the school, their focus is a lot on calculations, number operations, all these kind of things. But their problems are getting to be word problems, especially from 6th grade and above. So they start seeing more complex concepts coming together. They have to kind of strategize a solution before they solve the problems. And these are the kind of things which they were not learning formally in the classroom. They were still learning the formulas. They were learning how to plug numbers into the formulas and solve the problems. But they were not really learning things like how do you actually understand a long problem statement, try to determine what has been given, what do you need to find out, what do you need to derive, all this kind of thing, right? So we created a small assessment and we said, let's try. So I called a few children from the neighborhood and did a paper pencil kind of assessment. And we realized that there are 4 or 5 different things which the children need. So first of all, they need to have the comprehension ability. They have to have the ability to understand the problem statement. Second, they need to have a skill for modeling a solution. We call it modeling, you can give it a different name, but basically create a strategy to solve the problem. Then they have to do the number operations. And of course, they need to know the formula and the concepts and so on. So they need to have knowledge of or skills in all these 4 areas. So then we said, why not create something real out of it? I come from a software engineering background. My co-founder also comes from an IT background. So the obvious direction for us was to create some kind of a software platform for that. So we created an assessment, and then we said, let's take it to a few schools and let's try it out. So we went to 4 schools in Delhi, and we said, can we try this kind of assessment as a pilot? And they allowed us to do it. About 1,500 students took this assessment between class 6 to 8. And we got some very interesting results. They were kind of on the expected line. So we realized that most of the children are not doing well because they don't have comprehension ability. Language is the biggest problem when it comes to mathematics, which was kind of surprising, but no surprise, right? We all know that a lot of kids come from a non-English speaking family, non-English speaking background. And for them to, kind of take this English language complex sentence into mathematical context is a task. So then we came back to the schools and we said, here are the results, right? These are the assessment results. We see that comprehension is a big problem. Modeling is a big problem. Finally, when it comes to number operations, kids are okay. So the school said, okay. And then a very interesting thing happened. So a couple of the principals said, why don't you ask our teachers to take the same assessment? And we said, okay, we'll do it. It was very, exciting for us because we said, let's see what the teachers do, right? We did that. And we found 2 very interesting things. First thing, wherever the children were failing, the teachers were also failing. And it was, it was very eye-opening for everybody because we realized that it is kind of flowing down, right? From the misconceptions that the teachers have, the same misconceptions are now flowing down to children. The second very interesting thing that happened is, and this was with one teacher, but it was still very interesting because we realized that this seems to be a systemic issue. That the teacher said that I'm an 8th standard teacher and the problem here is a 6th standard problem and I cannot solve it. So, we were wondering, why is this? And if I expect my son to remember the 6th concepts when he gets to 8th standard, because that's how mathematics builds up, then why don't the teachers do that? And we realized that these are all the real problems which are there in the whole teaching process or teaching learning process, so to speak. So we had to solve that whole thing. So when we went back to the principals and showed them these results, they said that this is all fine. Now you've given us all the problem areas and we are also aware of the problem. Can you solve it for us? So that was the start for Counting Well. Then we started creating the whole content structure to align with all these different skills and how do we personalize it for each child so that we can build up these skills. So that's how we built Counting Well.
That's amazing, sir. And how it is helping the teachers as well as the students?
So the way it is helping teachers is that the way we have created the whole learning platform is that we first do a formative assessment. So we do an assessment to determine where the child's learning gaps are, whether it is conceptual, whether it is a specific skill, they don't have comprehension skill or they don't have modeling skill, or it is because they have not learned something in the previous class. So based on all that, now we are able to determine what these learning gaps are, and then we can create a personalized learning plan for the child. Now, what we are also able to do is show the same report to the teacher and say that in your class of 30, 40, 50 students, this is the group of children which are having problems in certain specific areas. And what are these specific areas? So now this lesson planning becomes easier for them. And it becomes effective because they're doing it when the lesson is still being taught, right? They're not doing it at the quarterly exam or term exam time. by that time they're already moving forward. So then they are too busy with the next chapter and they don't want to go back. So now we can bring that intervention while the chapter is being taught. And of course, we also do the remedial as well. So that means that the child can come back the next day with some steps forward, instead of being stuck somewhere behind. So that way, we try to bring the child closer to everybody else, or at par with everybody else in the classroom.
That's amazing, sir. Wonderful concept you have created. And the best part I like is that you are providing it free of cost to the schools right now for the session 22-23, as you told us earlier also.
Yes, sir, absolutely. So that is something we realized that, when we went to schools also, they said that last 2 years have been financially, they have had a major impact on the schools, as well as, of course, a lot of parents as well. So we decided that this year, we will make it free for all the schools. And when the time comes, we will obviously make profits, but, there is time for that.
Thank you so much, sir. We'll talk about other things also in the later part of the show. Sure. The 20 minutes concept and everything, how the learning gap is being, placed in. Thank you so much, sir, for coming. We'll have the next round, which I'll call as a question round or as a suggestion round. We'll come up to Santosh Vyas ma'am. I'd like to ask from you that mathematics becomes a burden in the middle school. What are the reasons behind it, according to you?
Yes. Sir, first of all, I will say that already we have shared this concern that maths is not my forte. And whatever I will share here at this platform will be through my experiences, working with different faculties, math faculty especially in this regard, and my own experience in the school, working with the children so closely. And, working on, very focused on this area, maths, so maths phobia. So coming from class 5, primary, to middle school, first of all, the syllabus is very vast. Suddenly, there is quantum increase in the syllabus. 12 chapters, 14 chapters, 15 chapters in class 6th and 7th. And class primary to middle is a sea change in terms of syllabus to be covered, in terms of comprehension levels. Already, sir has said, I completely agree with Shah sir when he says that comprehension is a major problem. Like it is more objective and the small portions are assessed. It is related to assessment also. In the primary school, it is always small portions being assessed. It is more objective, less subjective, which is being tested. And assessments are regular, continuous, comprehensive, of course, but very, very, frequently it is done. But as the child goes to middle school, the syllabus being covered is very vast and assessments are structured. When I say structured, that means, of course, we have periodic tests, 1, 2, as per the CBSE guidelines and directorate guidelines. Then we have term exams also, midterm and then final term. So term exam, again, the complete syllabus which has been covered in PT1, periodic test 1 and 2 will be there. So large portions are being covered and the child finds it very difficult. And there is suddenly this maths phobia, especially the children who are not clear with the concepts. I'm observing more so in the offline mode now after 2 years of pandemic. A lot of learning gap is there. So what we did was that in the first week, we did this exercise of bridging the learning gap. Okay. So as sir says that we had some assessments also. And comprehension is a very big issue at this stage. Because children are not able to, understand the problem and state the problem.
You're absolutely right, ma'am. We can take an example like a green processor coming to near our house, and he's an illiterate person, and you are asking for different quantities to him, and within seconds he tells us that how much money we have to pay. But at the very same time, you convert it into a word problem and give to a child, he'll start using the formulas, and he may or may not be able to solve that. So the main thing is the concept is not clear. This is being done, but why it is being done? That why is not.
Teachers have to be confident, like what sir said, that class 8 teacher saying that I can't teach class 7th or 7th saying 8, I'm more confident with these concepts. So it's percolating down. Yes, that is also there. So teachers have to be more confident. They themselves have to be clear with the concepts. That is also very important. And at the same time, the maths phobia is that unnecessary tension and anxiety is there. So we have to make maths much more interesting. So that children, we have to create that environment where they're excited to do maths exercises. So right
Right.
now, maths, oh, it's very difficult. That kind of phobia has to go from children's mind. And when I said more practice has to be given, more worksheets, more assignments. So it is basically, as I said, about the quantified increase in the syllabus and also about the learning gaps, especially in the pandemic time that has happened and otherwise also, and structured assessments and vast syllabus being covered during those assessments that creates maths phobia.
Absolutely right, ma'am. You're absolutely right. That is why this is a very big problem which is being faced by the students. Many principals, they also say that we had we had to do this. I mean, we also had the phobia of mathematics because the teachers were not teaching the way it is being needed. And we should also stop this now, and we should come up with the methods which are more effective for the children. Thank you so much, ma'am. Arindam sir, as you are from the maths background, please let us know the reasons behind, the phobia, as ma'am said, a phobia creates in the middle school with the from all the sides they have been told with the vast syllabus and everything. What are the reasons for this phobia of mathematics during middle school?
See, I look at it this way. Mathematics, I think, has been a reason for fear psychosis for, I think, eternity. My parents faced that. We faced it. Our children are also facing the same thing, right? And to look at it like we can pin it down, but we don't know what is the solution of it. And of course, we are dependent on counting well so that we can come out of that in terms of fear. Now, if you look at the continuum of learning of mathematics of students, you'll always find, if this is the learning continuum, you will always find students here or here. In between, you will not find, very few students are there. Either they love maths or they fear maths, right? And the fear maths, of course, the population is more there. The reason are all the stakeholders, the teachers, the parents, the peer, and the community at large. Because I feel that that thing has been percolating, from time to come. Oh, maths, oh my God. Like, this is what it is, whether it's come from the parents or from the peers. I'm talking from the teacher's point of view. I think somewhere we need to, as teachers, as mathematics teachers, we need to take it a little lightly. You can easily identify a maths teacher in a school. The person with a straight face, the person who's absolutely serious, doesn't smile, that fellow is the maths teacher. You can easily identify. And that needs to be broken, that shackle. Another thing is that looking we can't be like a horse. We have to break that and look at it in totality. That's one. And the second is how we present the concept, how we present mathematics to the students is very important. We are not connecting that, as sir has said, we are not connecting that with life. If you look at an example, for example, if I'm talking about addition and subtraction, it is not about numbers. It's not about bogging down of numbers. It is about how I include or how I exclude, or how the subject, like how a topic like from mathematics, from addition, multiplication is evolved. Like if I can understand that ethos as a student, that's going to make a lot of difference. And of course, my practice and all that comes in the secondary aspect. So I have a feeling that we need to first take away all the jugglery of numbers that we get in, and we put them into that particular shackle of numbers. Instead of that, we need to take that out and present life in terms of mathematics, because that is most important, and that is what is going to break. And of course, we as community, we need to think that yes, maths is everybody's cup of tea, and it is not that you can create for everyone can learn, because I have a feeling that we have mathematics in us, within us. If you look at our spatial skill, if I can drive, I know mathematics. If I can sing, I know mathematics. If I can draw, I know mathematics, right? So, and if I can forget about reading and writing, as you said, that beautiful example that you have given, sir. So I have a feeling that it's all about discovering mathematics within ourselves, which our teachers should be able to facilitate. Numbers are just facilitators. They are not end all and be all of mathematics. It's the essence, is the ethos that we need to carry. And I think if that can happen, then nothing like it. Right? That's what my take is all about.
Absolutely right, sir. That's being a maths teacher, and hopefully your children not might be having the maths fear, because being a leader, you might be guiding your teachers to be make it a more of a, a children-oriented class instead of a teacher-oriented class with a smiling face moving inside. Yeah, as you told that a serious face is always of mathematics because I have to I have to teach so many classes, so much burden that, like ma'am said, 18 to 20 chapters are there in each class, and three classes means 60 chapters I have to teach. And in that we have 3, 3, 4 exercises. So teacher is always in that mood. So when the teacher is that mood in the class, the same is reflected with the class, with the students also. You have to make it more likely as well. Thank you so much, sir. We'll come up to Deepika ma'am. Deepika ma'am, what are your views on the saying that mathematics is not only about numbers, but is also about understanding?
So when somebody says mathematics is just numbers, I feel it's like, is English only alphabets? When the entire world actually communicates and does it's not. It's much more. In fact, I think it's basically like when we say English is the medium for all subjects. I say maths is one subject which stems out science and art and economics, all that. So, though I absolutely share the same thing, as a student, I had a problem like Nirmal sir's child has right in the middle school, and I had the arithmophobia, like the rest of my panelists are talking about. I did. So I've made it a mission actually to ensure that at least the children in my school don't go through it. So I absolutely do not agree with the statement. It's just numbers. It's much more, and I feel solution finding, logical reasoning, having a scientific temper. It's possibly cradle to all other creations. So mathematics is very important, specifically in a country like ours, where your class 12th is a high stake exam, and your colleges are based on that, your placement is based on that. And if students are not good in maths, they don't score well. Physics, for example, is applied maths. So if child who's not doing well in maths would have problem with economics, would have problem with the PCM, and therein lies the problem ahead for his colleges. Hopefully NEP is here to correct all that. But I totally agree with that statement. It's not just numbers, it's much more. In fact, it is right from elementary school. It needs to be corrected and instilled. And there has to be a temper. There has to be, like, again, let's go back to people talking about teachers. And what I said initially was training our trainers to it. So I feel, there has to be first the teachers who say that, yes, we're open to it and we're open to learning. When I induct a teacher, I tell them that don't teach my students wrong. Ask for help, because smart people ask for help. You have your colleagues, you have a lot of Google things happening online, so there are a lot of ways to do it. So yeah, I totally agree that it's not about numbers, it's much more to it. It has its significance in our life in every which way. So even if it's you're
Yes,
a housewife, you're using it all day in and day out.
absolutely right, ma'am.
Yeah.
You're totally right, ma'am. Absolutely right, because mathematics is needed everywhere. Whatever you're doing,
Yeah.
mathematics is involved into it. The only thing is that you have to realize that you are using it everywhere, and you can do it. This is what has to be made with the students also. Thank you so much, ma'am. Next,
Thank
we
you.
have Richa Dixit, ma'am. Are you there? Richa, ma'am. Yeah. Ma'am, according to you, how does technology helps in making maths more easy and interesting?
Yeah, so the entire discussion starts from the need of making maths interesting. So a particular subject becomes disengaging when the focus is all on, memorization without understanding. So this is a kind of teaching process wherein it promotes joyless subject. That students, they don't enjoy the subject, they don't learn out of it. So remembering a large amount of information without understanding large amount of formulae without meaningful understanding leads to disconnect in the subject. So the entire phobia of this math, which is called as math phobia, is because of the traditional methods, non-understanding of concepts, or the memorization of formulae. So according to a study, approximately 82% of children from classes 6 to 10, they fear or have inhibitions for maths as a subject, which is commonly known as maths phobia. So, as maths has numerous abstract concepts, I feel here is the role of technology. So, what technology can do for us? So, technology can actually, if incorporated well in the lesson plans, can get the students motivated, even the teachers motivated, and the teachers are able to translate their knowledge to the students in a better way, in effective way. So, in technology also helps educators for the ability to expand and enrich the math lessons. So, incorporating technology in mathematics class enables all the teachers and educators to craft powerful collaborative learning, wherein the teaching learning process happen. So, while teaching a concept, suppose a formula in a mathematics, any formula, let's say the area of a circle or circumference of a circle, or for that matter, anything, pi, the value of pi, or cos theta, sin theta, tan. So if the teacher helps the children to visualize it, a visual representation can help the students learn in a better way. So nowadays, gamification, simulation, digital tools, video assisted learning, and AI assisted learning. And there are many platforms wherein teachers can actually take help from these platforms and to translate their knowledge to children. So, of course, technology plays a vital role in making maths classes more interesting and interactive. So, as Sir said, Arindam Sir said, mathematics is not about rote learning or only the numbers. It's all about thinking deeply, thinking logically, discovering patterns, and connect to the real world.
Right, that's right, ma'am. Thank you so much, ma'am. Nirmal sir, over to you now. As an expert, first of all, we like to know about what all the speakers said about that, and then please let us know about how actually these type of apps like counting well, they help the teacher as well as the students, how they gradually, because difficulty level you have known that, as ma'am said that, Santosh ma'am said that till 5 the number of chapters are less, the burden is less, then again it comes to 16 to 18 chapters, 40 chapters with so many exercises in it. And again Arindam said continued with that, that because the face of the teacher is just so serious, he has to take up so many things together. So how this burden, this level, because chapters cannot be reduced, curriculum you cannot reduce. So how you are getting it done with these type of your app? And please, first of all, please tell us about your expert advice towards what the panelists said. Over to you.
Sure, sir. So first, I have a small comment on what Arindam sir and Deepika ma'am said. Uh, is that we talk about how mathematics is used in real life, and where we show the utility of mathematics, and where we bring the understanding of mathematics. And this is something I've kind of talked to a few educators, and there's a debate. I mean, they have debated with me around that. But I feel that if there is a way where we can say that from 8th grade onwards, you don't look at mathematics as a subject. You start saying that here is the mathematics of physics, here is the mathematics of geography, here is the mathematics of English, for that matter, right? I mean, in English itself, if you look at a sonnet, is there a mathematics in it? If you look at a haiku, is there mathematics in it? There is. Kids might be even doing it, they don't know that they're doing it. So if we start doing it that way, then I think that they will stop seeing mathematics as this subject where I only have to score marks and I'm afraid of the subject and so on and so forth, right? Because I'm no longer learning mathematics, I'm learning physics, and there is some maths in it. I am learning geography, and there is some maths in it, because even in geography, if I'm talking about maps, then there is mathematics involved. So there are so many ways that it gets involved. However, we don't link it with those subjects, and that's why this whole disconnect starts to happen. And all the time kids are wondering that I've learned so much mathematics, where will I use it in real life? And this is why we sit here and make these comments that kids don't know that you give examples of the greengrocer and so on, right? So all that comes because of that. So I think that if we are able to show that utility of mathematics to the child from that early age, and that's where technology plays a very important role. because like you said, Chandok sir, that there is a certain amount of syllabus that you have to complete necessarily. There is no way that you can escape that. So how do you still make sure that the kids get this kind of additional knowledge, additional understanding? And technology can play a very, very good role in this, because we can start showing them how the maths that they have learned in the classroom is actually going to be useful in their real life, right? So if you see in my screen itself, there is something, we have created a course on financial literacy. Now we have designed this specifically for middle school children. One aspect is, of course, that we know that we grow up to a certain older age without being financially very literate. And when we go into our 40s and middle ages, we start to realize that had I been smarter financially, I would have saved a lot of money and this and that, and maybe I can give the same knowledge to my child. That's one aspect of it. The other aspect is also that what is all the math involved, right? When I do budgeting, when I do compound interest, all these formulas that I learn, how is it actually going to help me become smarter financially as well? So there are all these aspects, and we want to bring this kind of thing to the fore to the child. We have created courses around data science and show them that the maths that they learn in the middle school, which is data handling, statistics, all these kind of things, is actually the basis of data science, right? So if we can create all these kind of things, then we are able to show the child the utility of the math, as well as show them that they are starting to use it in a very, very different way. So for example, the data science course that we created, we tried to bring some fun element to it. So we said that, instead of simply saying that here is a table and try to analyze the table and so on and so forth, we created an example where we said that there is a cricket match going on. And in this cricket match, the probability of India winning against Australia is 70%. But now it looks like it is going to rain. When it rains, India wins only 5 out of every 10 matches. So what will happen to the possibility of India winning? Now we are bringing the concept of probability into this. The child doesn't even know that he's using probability, but they are using it, right? So that's the way you start bringing maths or involving maths and other real life aspects of using that mathematics. So I think this is where technology can bring a lot of value to the child. The other thing, Richa ma'am brought up a lot of things where she said that, gamification, bringing visualization into the whole way of teaching mathematics and so on. That, of course, adds a lot of value. So, just being able to show 3D videos and to be able to visualize different aspects of what they're learning. Gamification is a very, very interesting aspect. So the way we gamified it, for example, is that we started creating competitions. So we said that there is going to be a monthly competition. In this competition, what the child will have to do is that they will have to learn a specific chapter. And after having learned that chapter, they will then have to take a test, and the ones who come for ahead in the test will win prizes and so on. Now for the child, it's competition. They are trying to compete against each other, win prizes. But what we are doing is that we are making them learn, and because of the competition, there is enthusiasm and there is motivation. So this way of gamification can become very effective for the children, where they are not having this thing that I'm writing an examination, right? I'm trying to win a prize. If they were trying to write an exam and score 100 out of 100, they would have the stress. But if they are trying to win a prize and score 100 out of 100 to win that prize, there is no stress, right? So that's how we try to change the whole perception in the mind of the child. And the final thing, I think that as far as technology is concerned, is the way we have created the app, for example, is that it's a self-paced and self-learning app. So what it means is that the child can learn on his own at home in a very non-intimidating atmosphere. So what typically happens again in the classroom, and even I've seen this myself when I was studying, is that I don't want to ask a doubt in the class because I feel that I might sound silly, or other children might make fun of me, or even the teacher may start mocking me. So that's why I keep quiet. Or sometimes, in the flow that the teacher is teaching, I think that I've understood everything. But when I go home and try to just read the same thing again, I don't understand. So this is where that self-paced learning and self-learning can become very effective, because the child is learning in an environment where nobody is watching. That means that if the child is making a mistake, there is nobody to mock, right? The child can make the same mistake multiple times, and we keep improving or we keep correcting the child without anybody looking over the child's shoulder. and that starts building the confidence in the child. So ultimately it is also about building the confidence, right? So we want to make sure that the child starts feeling that, yes, I know, I have learned, I'm doing it right. And if we are able to do that even slowly, then the child will at least start or stop having the phobia of the subject. Maybe they will not score a lot of marks, but they will not fear the subject at least. So that's our goal, and that's how technology can bring a lot of value to this whole teaching learning process.
That is absolutely right, sir, because we have seen in middle school, from middle school, you can say that children don't want to ask questions because others will make fun of him. Oh, tumko nahi aata, you don't know this. You are so stupid. Okay, leave it, leave it, leave it. And the teacher is also concentrating towards the only toppers, three, four toppers only. So that atmosphere creates that, like sir said that, Arundam sir said that there are two types of, either they are knowing it or either they are running away, have phobia of that. So that is why it happens. And the best thing in your app is that child can do it one to one. That is with the app, whatever learning app he has added it today, he can go into to his house, and at any time point of time when he feels like 8 p.m. or 2 a.m. in the morning, he wants to study that, he can just open up the app and he can understand that thing from the AI based learning app. And that, I think, app also tells where you are wrong and how you have to correct it. Am I right, sir?
Yes.
So what is the 20 minutes concept? I was asking in the starting also, because the parents, they complain that, okay, during pandemic we had to give the gadgets, we didn't have any choice, but now as of the offline schools have started, so why should we give gadgets? If we give the gadgets, they'll use it for a long time. So that 20 minutes concept, sir.
So what we did was that we broke down the whole the content structure for each class into a large number of learning objectives. So what we found is that every class we can break it down into almost 250 to 300 learning outcomes. And for each learning outcome, then we create very small learning modules. Each of this module can take about 5 to 7 minutes to complete. So what we then do is we tell the child that you spend only 20 minutes on the app, you will achieve at least 3 to 4 learning outcomes. So one, they are not spending too much time on the app. They are only spending about 20 minutes. Second thing is that in that 20 minutes, they are achieving some learning. So it kind of helps them build up that confidence, right? That I've learned something today. I've learned something today without getting overwhelmed. And of course, the children also have a kind of maximum attention span. So we want to make sure that we don't want to exceed that attention span, because after that, they are bored anyway, right? So they are not really learning, they're just passing the time. So basically this whole 20-minute idea is centered around we don't give them too much gadget time. At the same time, we give them enough learning. And ultimately, my goal is to help these average students. And this is what, when you said in the introduction as well about us, that, we don't, the kids who are doing very well, the kids who score 90%, without any push, with self-motivation, they will get to 95%. Okay. If they have a doubt, they will ask. The teacher will also focus on them. They will get ahead. But it's the kids who are behind. They are the ones who need the most help. So how do we give them that confidence? How do we give them that small bits of learning so that they are incrementally learning slowly? At the same time, they are moving ahead step by step. So that was the idea of creating this small micro learning modules and then grouping them into 20-minute learning units so that they're not spending too much time, they're learning, and it is helping these average performing children.
So, sir, in short, we can say that you built up the confidence that, apps like Counting Well, they build up the confidence level of the children, because basically everything is based on mathematics, for sure. Thank you so much, sir. Shija ma'am, welcome. I think you got stuck somewhere, and we can see that you have come from somewhere. Welcome, ma'am. We are talking about mathematics, the difficulty level that faced by the children during the middle school. And we have Nirmal Shah sir from Counting Well as an expert. They have an app where they provide assistance to the students regarding the mathematics, help in the mathematics learning. I mean, understanding actually, mathematics, not learning. We're talking about that.
I understand. Yes, yes.
And congratulations for changing your institute, ma'am, coming up to the new institute in Road, ma'am. Dr. Shija PR, ma'am, she is the principal of Sagar International School, Road. Welcome, ma'am.
Thank you, sir.
I hope you are fine now.
Yes, yes, yes. Yeah. I had a initial trouble there. I had an emergency meeting, so where I was not able to come and join in right time.
No
Excuse
problem,
me
ma'am.
for that to all the participants, all the speakers, and especially to Chandok sir, who is taking a lot of efforts to make such meaningful talks.
Never than late, ma'am. It's okay, ma'am. It's better you have joined right now. Also, duties, we are all sailing in the same boat. We have to run and rush towards our duties because we are genies who are being, you have to be everywhere with all the stakeholders. Oh, bulaya, jo kya hukam hai mere aaka, and we have to keep a smiling face everywhere. Right now, also, I mean, you are so exhausted. We can see that, but smiling face we have to keep everywhere because
Exactly.
because we are genies. Thank you. Welcome, ma'am. Thank you so much. We'll come up to the next round. We have to make it a precise round because of the shortage of time. We'll come up to Santosh, ma'am. Ma'am, please suggest few ways in which a teacher can make maths more interesting.
So mathematics, all about, as rightly Nirmal sir said also, we have to go ahead for understanding mathematics, not about learning mathematics. Learning some facts or
Shija ma'am,
figures are not going to
Shija
benefit
ma'am,
us.
Shija ma'am,
Question
Shija
goes to
ma'am.
me. Yeah.
Oh,
Yes,
sorry,
yes.
sorry.
Yeah, that's fine. So, as first of all, that belief should be there that every child is capable of learning. Teachers have to have this in their mind that every child is capable of learning. And then each child, as Sir Shah sir also said, learns at his or her own pace. So when we say his or her own pace, yeah, apps and all, technology plays an important role. We have now, fortunately, many other things. But in the school atmosphere, we can, the methodology, the teaching strategy, that is to be adopted by the teacher. It has to be joyful. CBSE focuses a lot on joyful learning, teaching, learning of mathematics. And also all education, all learning in the classroom has to be created to the real life. We have discussed already about it. There is maths is everywhere. We have to reinforce this concept to the child. Once the child knows that there's a use of it, the child will take interest. Where is maths not possible? It's everywhere, right from kitchen. If you go, fractions are everywhere. Like I say, okay, you have to make tea this much amount and half the teaspoon of the tea leaves you put, or sugar this much, or if you may have to make suppose interesting halwa, you can tell the girl, कि जितना रवा है उसका आपको इतना amount जो है पानी डालना है उसको 3 times, 4 times, whatever, right? So it is everywhere. And also, when a carpenter, measurements everywhere. So it has to be related. And the focus should be on making it joyful, not only on the assessment to make it so, because a lot of pressure is created when we're focusing only on the assessments and the scores. So relating it to real life, making it joyful. Now, how do we do that? See, in the school atmosphere, what practices we are adopting also is, first of all, activity-based teaching learning has to be there. So, and as a, like we have math lab in the school. So in the math lab, we have activities, through activities, we are teaching various concepts of the fractions and other things of the children. And also collaboration is very important. That, that peer pressure goes when we have collaborative teaching learning style. So create such activities where children are sitting in groups and collaborating. Each one learns, and it's joyful also. At the same time, it is development of social skills, emotional skills, all those things are there. Then also building as a learning aid. So you can use your building as a learning aid. What we have done here is that apart from, in the primary going up and down, counting of the steps and all, classrooms also, like when the doors open from the line where we are entering the classroom, from there, what angle is constituted. So protector ka function of wahan se bhi bachcho ko wo play way mein padh lete, khelte khelte. These kind of practices can be adopted. Then celebration of Ganit week, for instance. Those kind of healthy collaborative projects can be encouraged through the Ganit week. Rather, I say ki learning outcomes, and when I say learning outcomes have to be well defined, and we have to see how could we achieve them through these activities. Then educational toys as pedagogy. In mathematics, we had that national toy fair at the national level, and we participated. Children came up with the beautiful toys on mathematical concepts, tangram and other things. So it was so good, fantastic. So learned. They enjoyed teaching, learning. So these are some of the ways we can make it more interesting. I think once the interest is created, definitely the performance will be better. And yes, of course, in the where the technology is there are a variety of apps. Sir has already said, counting well, maybe hey. And then we have tried with apps like MindSpark, and we've tried FunTutor in the past. When I say self-paced learning, it is rightly said. Child can learn at his or her own pace, and at a time convenient and wherever, all time or everywhere, which I can learn. So these are very important. Technology also plays a very important role in that. So that's
Absolutely right, ma'am. Absolutely right, ma'am. Thank you so much, ma'am. Arindam sir, you are an also an maths teacher and expert also. Your views on the same thing, sir?
Yeah, I think Santosh ma'am has put it very beautifully. I will just put in a few more, points here. I have a feeling that it's very important that we help the students discover concepts. Like, let me give you a small example. If I say pi, the student will say it's 22 by 7 or 4.13. It will go on, it'll rattle out the number. But it's much, much beyond numbers. It's a relationship between two things in a circle. That's what it is, like a circumference and a diameter. It's a relationship of that. And the most important thing is, if I don't say that, and if I ask the students to draw three circles of three different diameters and give them a string to measure and ask them for all the three circles, if you find the ratio between the circumference and the diameter, they will be really, surprised that all the three circles, in spite of the fact that they are all of different dimensions, they get the same value. That's how they discover the concept of pi. And from there we can, so this discovery aspect is very important. And the second thing is, when we're talking about tools, we can use any tool in that particular thing. If I can demonstrate in just maybe 10 seconds, 10-15 seconds, like our fingers. If we can use our fingers, like for example, the biggest challenge is tables. I remember when I was in school, and my tables, I was forced to teach, learn till 30, which I did not, I still don't remember. If you ask me the tables of 21 or 22, I might not be able to tell you. 22 is easy, of course. 27 or something like that might be a little challenging for me. And it doesn't help me in any ways. I personally feel that if a child knows table till 10 is enough for him or her. And I personally feel that if the child knows tables till 5 is also enough. Let me demonstrate it and show it. Like, if I have these two fingers, and for each finger, if I say this is 6, 7, 8, 9, and the thumb is 10 for all, and if I want to know 6, 7 into 8, so this is 7 and this is 8, I just join them. When I join them, what happens is there is a bridge that has been made, and this bridge and the fingers which are below. How many fingers are there? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 fingers. So each finger will have a value of 10. So this becomes 50. And here this is 3 and this is 2. 3 2s are 6. So 7 into 8 is 56. It is as simple as that. Right? And not only that, let me just increase its validity of the fingers. I'll go to 10th standard and talk about calculus. Talk about trigonometry. Okay, in 10th standard. And we tell the students that, remember, the value of sine, cos, tan of 0 degree, 30 degree, 45 degree, 60 degree. It's very simple that you can do here with this finger. Keep your left side and your thumb on top, and each finger will be of each value. This is 0. Then the ring finger is 30. The middle finger is 45. The index finger is 60, and the thumb is 90. Right? If you remember this. And what you need to remember is that the sine is root over finger below divided by 2. This is what you need to remember. Now let's look at 60 degree. This is 60 degrees. So let me just close the finger. Now how many fingers are below? There are 3 fingers. So that means sine 60 degree root over 3 upon 2 is what the answer is. Right? Or if I want to know what is sine 45, so let me just close this middle finger. How many fingers are there? There are only 2 fingers. So that is root over 2 upon 2. That is nothing but, so 1 by root 2. So 1 by root 2 is what sine 30 is all, sine 45 is all about. Similarly, if I want to know cos, it is root over fingers above divided by 2. Same thing. Let me just take cos 30. So if I take cos 30, I'll just close this finger. How many fingers do I have? I have 3 fingers. So that is root over 3 upon 2, and that's the value of it. So if I keep on doing it, one fine day, I don't have to use my fingers. It'll all be coming into my mind, just the way we do abacus. It is as simple as that. And we don't have to create a big thing, a table, or remembering it. It just comes in. And it is not like that. We can also use these fingers and find out the value of sine 80 degree, sine 82.5 degree if you want. You can still, yes, there is a little complexity, but that possibility is also there. So what I'm trying to tell you is this will always help the student to remember. And I would also add one more thing, story. We have n number of stories which brings in concepts. If we can bring those stories in our classroom, if we can ask them to enact it, I can tell you, my friends, it'll never be difficult for a child to, remember these things, because these cramming and these remembrance and remembering these difficult numbers is the one which brings the student to failure. If you want to say root 3 by 2, and if you want me to remember root 3 by 2, I might not be remembering. But if I use my fingers and do that, it'll just hard, because I know I have the tool with me. Will hardly do it. In the examination hall also, if I do that, nobody can catch me that I'm using a calculator or something like that, right? So what I'm trying to tell you is, if we can do this and there's a lot of research that has been happened in India as well as abroad. Only as teachers, if we can do a little bit of it and bring this down to the students, then I am sure mathematics will be all of fun. That is my take.
Amazing, sir. Amazing. The same way like students do like this. This is Jan, Feb, March, April, 30, 31 days. Wala. The same way is the calculation you are doing it. And this is a so easy way that the children can, if they are, they are attentive, they can understand it very easily. And there's no need to, remember it. All of a sudden, you can take out your fingers and you can calculate it if you are not remembering it. And in practice, when you'll do it, you don't have to use your fingers for sure. A very good method you told, one very good thing in this episode we have invented, and how can you do up with the tables also, how you get 7 into 8, sir. God bless you, sir. You have so much great knowledge.
Sorry to interrupt, but Arindam sir painted this whole picture of a very serious mathematics teacher, and he just did the opposite just now. He just made it so much fun. This is how obviously maths teachers
Yeah,
should be.
but let me tell you, I was never serious. I have many mathematical jokes to share, which I do that in my class when I start it, so that we can create that sort of an environment, and that's what is.
It is very essential, sir. It is very essential. I also had been accountancy teacher, and in 11th it was also for me a new subject, and it's going to be very difficult. With the students, first question is, sir, is mathematics difficult? Sorry, accountancy difficult? So I used to tell them this is the easiest subject, and let's enjoy that. When you make it as an enjoyment, they will for sure love it and have interest in that, and there will be no phobia. But this has to be with all the teachers, sir, and them, sir. Teachers like you should be there everywhere. I think we should call you everywhere in all the schools and all the parts of the country to make it fun loving, or you should, record your videos like this and send to us. We will rotate it with the students. Thank you so much, sir. We will come up to Deepika ma'am then. Deepika ma'am, it is often seen that children try to learn mathematics instead of understanding it. What are your suggestions to the teachers who teach them?
Okay, so the best part of speaking late is that most of it has been covered. Okay, so you just have to speak less. And I absolutely appreciate and congratulate Arindam sir for being such a passionate mathematician that we have among us. So I feel, why we have this rote system is that, again, going back to, we are an examination-based education system. And the students have this phobia, and maybe there's less of practice in the early years, the concepts are not clear. So by the time they come to the middle school, they just need to clear their exams, because that is what is going to take them to next class, or the whole thing is around that. And so they start cramming up bits and pieces, if not the entire thing or the whole thing, So that unfortunately kills the essence of the entire subject. And I've seen geometry being learned. I've seen theorems being learned. When we have a stepwise marking in the board, so I've seen students just learning a few steps, and trying to score a 2 or a 3 on 6 if they can't do the entire thing. So, the entire cramming thing has also been actually for past 2-3 decades. It's all been about scores, unfortunately. So yes, it's very prevalent. It needs to, we need not follow it at all. NEP, I feel, again, should make that correction. And we at school need to do it. We need to follow a system. For example, like ma'am also said, and Arindam sir also said earlier, is that we need to ensure that the concepts are clear. We need to follow methods so that it does more so in primary, it should be more of an activity based teaching learning method than educational drill, and we can very beautifully integrate the modern methods with the convention. For example, if they have to cram, let it be only the tables, So making calculations slightly easier for them. We have also introduced Vedic maths or abacus in those years, say third standard onwards, so that they can do addition, multiplication, subtraction, and division easily. Okay. And when I say activity based methods, then I say the teacher needs to be more hands on, should be doing it with things, for example, which are all around us. For example, it could be beans, it could be fruits, it could be possibly the numbers. Like we have even introduced a few games which are easily available. For example, the snakes and ladders. So we have that on the floor. We have the Ludo on the floor. So they play with a huge ball or a dais, a cotton dais, and then they get into it and they're doing it in the primary. For maybe a middle wing, a senior, I feel yes, there has to be a little more clearing of the concepts. For example, again, I'll go back to Nirmal sir, where we say that yes, blended learning does help. And the last 2 years, we're all sort of tech friendly. So students are using it. We're using it for improvement classes for average students. We're using it for competitive classes as and when. We also have introduced flip learning. Okay. And even reverse learning, wherein we introduce a concept and then allow them to do assignments at home and come and take up their doubts later. So it is a great form of blended learning which has come into play. And I also feel that we should allow the learner to learn at their own pace and time, and however they choose to learn. And if they pick up one methodology of coming to or deriving an answer to whatever has been taught in the school, that should be appreciated.
Yeah.
We should just allow that to happen, instead of telling them this is the only way that you can do it.
Yeah.
No, that's not the only way.
Yeah.
So I think we need to be a little more flexible when it comes to that. And then we also used a system which, again, Nirmal sir was talking about, wherein the child, with the help of artificial intelligence, we are able to figure out what part of the chapter, what part of the topic, what part of the problem is the child really lacking. So that has also helped us, So I think if we could just have an integration of technology and classroom learning, wherein the teacher is more flexible, is open to using a lot of activities and collaboration, I think we can come out to much better results. And we can absolutely see if it's other subjects where they feel like they have to cram the dates or something is one thing, which again I'm not, but for example, even history, I feel if you tell a story and you narrate a story out of it, they need not even cram that. But maths, of course, we should absolutely rid ourselves of the whole idea of cramming. It has to change, and this overhauling has to be done as quick as possible. And especially, like I said, in a country like India, where maths and science get are privileged subjects over the others, So I guess it is mandatory for all of us as educationists and educators to take it up and implement it thoroughly, wherein children stop what they are doing and are not scared of maths and are not cramming any of the maths concepts or derivations or theorems or whatever may that be.
One point can I add, sir, here when we're talking
Sure,
about this, somebody touched upon this also, interdisciplinary. So that, integration of art, that is also very important. So maths dance we did in our school once. So maths dance, that various shapes, geometrical shapes were created by the children so beautifully. Even that is also, because when we talk about multiple intelligences, they are existing in the classroom. So every child learns in a different way because they have different type of intelligences.
Yes.
So dance form, somebody learns kinesthetic way because kinesthetic intelligence is very high. The child is high on that. So these can also be, integration with other subjects and arts, especially nowadays we're talking about graphic novels also. So those kind of things to make it more interesting, and
that will make it more interesting for sure, ma'am.
Yes.
A right suggestion, ma'am.
It should not be an educational drill at all.
Yeah.
Thank you, ma'am. Shija ma'am will come up to you. Please let us know that what suggestions you want to give to the teachers when the students start learning mathematics instead of understanding it.
So as rightly Deepika ma'am said, most of them were really telling, or even Aridham sir was really demonstrating how a teacher should be, how a teacher should take it by connecting with art or life or their fingers, their daily activities. Through all these things, mathematics goes to the understanding level. Or we have to make them that it's an easy lifestyle for problem solving. Because basically, I'm not a mathematician, but still, I believe that the mathematical taste or mathematical talent helps the children for problem solving, which is basics for their learning, which is basics for their life. It differs, like than just getting the knowledge on different theories or different equations. If they come to know that how to solve the problem, how to make it effective, their life as a whole is improving. So every teacher before going to the mathematics class should understand how to cultivate that interest in the child, how to make them connected with it. So CBSE always speaks about the experiential learning, art integrated learning, sport integrated learning, ICT integrated learning. All these are making the children more connected, more interested towards the mathematical skills. And we should focus on enhancing the skills in the children instead of just teaching them the portion. Usually teachers, always I'll tell my teachers that don't focus on portion completion. We don't want to complete the portion just telling by the teacher. Instead, we have to focus on what learning outcome we have achieved. If we can really measure the learning outcome, what the child has received, and how the child is able to use that skill in the real time. So whenever we introduce any concept, the teacher should be able to demonstrate and tell that where it can be applied. A child who knows to measure the area of trapezium, area of a square or rectangle, if the child cannot calculate the painting cost of his own house, there is no use of learning all these theories or equations. So the child should be able to calculate what should be the cost of painting it, what are the materials required, and how many workers on how many days should work in order to accomplish it. So these way, in the real time when the child is applying that, the teacher is successful. So each teacher should keep it in their mind, these aim, and should come into the teaching.
Absolutely right, ma'am. A practical approach should be there. Then only the children will be able to understand that. Thank you so much. Richa ma'am, are you there? Richa ma'am?
Yes, sir.
Yes, ma'am. We would like to know your views on the saying that the post-pandemic children have become more, smart. Thus, teachers have to be more smarter with the use of technology.
So first of all, before answering this question, I would like to congratulate all the students, those who are associated with Arindam sir, for having him as a teacher by chance or by choice. I don't know, but he is at the right place, and all the students, those who are associated with him, are lucky enough to have such a mathematics teacher with them. So as far as this, the students have become more smarter after pandemic. I would say even the teachers have become a little more smarter in terms of using technology, or in terms of integrating, different techniques in their lesson plans. So yes, students have become more smarter than teachers. Because they have a pool of information available at one click, and they have been exposed to do these platforms also during pandemic. So we have seen a paradigm shift in the education system during pandemic. So teachers, if you talk to teachers, when I talk with my teachers, they acknowledge that the pedagogical importance of technology in the system, in the education system. Yet they admit that they have not been able to incorporate or implement what they have hoped for due to limited resources, or limited skills, or limited knowledge to apply technology in their classroom. So as leaders, as the head of the institution, I think we need to give teachers that exposure wherein they can learn more about the websites, about the teaching techniques, about the different kinds of tools which are available and how they can use it in their daily classrooms, daily lesson plans. Apart from this, I would not say only the technology, but I would say the integration, as all the panelists have already discussed about it, and rightly said that it's not only about technology, it's about taking different techniques, making different techniques being utilized in the lesson plan. So when we talk about catering to different learning styles, I think work, as ma'am rightly said, that kinesthetic, that it has the maximum impact on the children. So work is visual, audio, reading, and kinesthetic. So the teachers need to incorporate all these learning styles in their lesson plans in a well balanced manner, so that they can translate their knowledge effectively to children. So yes, they need to upgrade themselves for the times to come. In one of the studies, it has been said that by 2025, the technology will take the center stage. So all our teachers need to be more equipped with the technological things and technology, so that they can use it effectively in their classrooms.
Thank you, ma'am. Amazing thoughts you have. We'll come up to Shah sir, Nirmal Shah sir. First of all, your expert advice on the second round, what you want to say on that. Next, we like to know that we have seen that these 2 years, the pandemic years, the learning gap had been there, especially with the mathematics. Students have not been doing practices, and the Google Baba had been doing their exams and everything, and they have done everything to mess up. So if a student who has come in grade 8 right now, he had not studied properly 6th and 7th mathematics, how are you finding out these learning gaps in this, and how are you recovering? An app like Counting Well is recovering over with the students, and how, I mean, they're coming up to the same level. First of all, your expert advice, sir.
So my advice and my observation on what everybody said just now is very simple. That basically, especially taking up from what Richa ma'am said, that students have become technologically ahead of the teachers. And the fact is that for the 21st century student, we need the 21st century teachers, right? So they have to be technologically as savvy. They don't need to know all the tools. They don't need to have seen all the websites, but they still need to be technologically savvy, and they need to be able to use technology as their friend, as their tool, in order to help the students. They don't need to show the students that they are smarter, but wherever there is a need, they have to allow the technology to step in. And I think that is where the teacher will become the so-called 21st century teacher for the 21st century student. Now, to answer your second part of the question about the learning gaps, yes, we have observed that. In fact, last year, we did a survey of about 75,000 students. Among all the students who have used our app, we took a sample size of 75,000 of grade 6 to 8, and we analyzed the data of their learning. So one of the things that we found is that a lot of these students are actually not able to achieve their learning objectives because they do not know something which they should have learned in the previous classes. And what we do is basically, when we do the formative assessments, as part of that, so let's say we are doing an assessment for 8th grade, we see that if you are not able to solve an 8th grade problem, then we start asking questions or ask them to solve problems which are on related topics but from the previous grades. And we go backwards as far as possible to determine where that gap actually started. And then the learning plans are also then coming in from that point. So then they start learning from that previous grade and then start to build it up. So that way we are able to fill these learning gaps for the children. And what we are also able to do is that typically, I think somebody said that they're doing the remedial classes. I think Santosh ma'am said that you do a week of remedial classes and so on. And I know a lot of other people who are using Counting Well still doing remedial classes, because they're starting to see that gap, and that gap is becoming very, very obvious as the students start returning to school. And one of the things that we can do is that, for example, one thing which we have done is we have created a kind of summer homework for children. And we said that you can assign this, as schools, assign this homework to children and let them do it at home. Now, this summer homework is a combination of assessment and learning cycle. so that we will start identifying these learning gaps from the previous years and start building it on. So that way, when they come back to school from the summer break, then they would have overcome some of these learning gaps. So that's the kind of thing that we are doing to help them overcome all the learning deficit that they have built up over the last 2 years.
So one more question from the sides of the principals, I think, that direct question, that why should we use Counting Well? Why not other apps?
No, you can use other apps. I mean,
although you're providing it free of cost, but why Counting Well? How it is very helpful? How it is a very precise answer we need. But how it is helpful?
See, one of the two things. One is that it is truly blended. So we are saying that in the classroom there is a teacher-centric learning model, whereas in the app there is a student-centric learning model. And if we can combine that, then it becomes real hybrid or real blended learning, right? So what we do is, for example, we say that the teachers can assign all these things as a homework to the child, and that homework will be only about 20, 25, 30 minutes. And what the child does on the app as part of the homework, as part of that learning on the app, will actually become available as data to the teacher. So now there is a two-way cycle which is going on. So most of the tools that we have seen typically don't feed that data back and don't do this kind of remedial to the child. So that's why what we have tried to do is that we have said that we will do the first line remedial, and we will keep giving this data to the teacher in real time all the time. So throughout the year, whenever you keep giving homework, we start adding up, right? So over a period of time, you will start seeing that whole profile of the child, not just concept wise, but also skill wise. So whatever the teacher had anecdotally in mind that this child is good this way or bad this way, now you have actual data to validate that, and you can use that data to solve the child's real problems, right? So that is one aspect of it, of that whole blended learning. And other parts, of course, all of these things like gamification, like bringing in all these courses which are related to real life. One of the other things that we have done is in the app, when they're learning also, we have made that learning structure in such a way that the child feels that they're discovering the concepts. So instead of simply giving the information, what we do is that we say, we give some information and say, now look at this. For example, we show a samosa and say, look at this. What shape do you see here? Right. So instead of telling them that a samosa is shaped like a triangle, we ask them, you tell us what shape you. So they start discovering these things. They feel that they've discovered these concepts. And that is also very powerful, because what the child is now trying to do is that they feel that they have learned, they have understood, and not that they have just, read a concept and they think that they have learned it. So that putting it all together makes it a very powerful blended learning tool for the teacher, for the child, and for the school. One of the very interesting things which another school came up with is they said that now we are able to use this data to see which teacher is teaching which topics very well. So they are starting to see that, this particular teacher is doing very well in trigonometry, whereas they may not be teaching some other topic as well. So they are trying to experiment with shuffling the teachers around for specific topics. So, data can do all these things, right? And we are able to provide this data to the administration as well.
That's amazing,
so
sir.
I hope that answers your question.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Of course, sir, you have justified your answer, sir. And my question also. The best thing I like about the Counting Well is that it is very, friendly for the teachers as well as the students. 20 minutes concept, actually, that is very good thing. The students don't have to go up with the, gadgets for the very long time. And the second part is, which is very important, it is free of cost for all the schools right now. It is actually helpful. The way you told right now also that it is moving to the, administrators also, the principals also. They can take up, like many schools do like this. You will teach literature and you will teach language. You're very good at language and you're very good at English literature. Likewise, Hindi also. In maths also, we can do that. If we have more teachers, more sections, we can do this, that you are very good at these topics. You go up with this into the class. That is for sure. That's a very important, very good thing, sir. That is why I'm also using, and all the many schools are using it as an app for the, the upliftment of maths during the middle school. Thank you so much, Nirval, sir. Coming up to the end, or the nearby the end of the session, the third part, which is very, known by the people who already come, but for the newcomers also, we have the third round where everyone has to sing 2 lines. And we do it like college or school only, that the people who have come for the first time, they will sing first. Then the seniors will go behind that, because those who have attended already, they know that they have to sing. So coming up to ladies first, we'll come up to Richa ma'am first. Then we'll come up to Randan sir. Richa ma'am, any two lines? Everybody has to sings over here. Be at ease, and it may be in any language, regional language. You can go for devotional, filmy, or patriotic. Any you can go, ma'am.
So I think you want to start with me.
Ma'am, you are not audible.
Am I audible now?
Yes, ma'am.
Am I audible now? Yeah. So if you want to start with me, then it is a wrong decision. I believe that I'm not at all good in like I can't sing. That's the only thing. So I mean, if other people can start first, then I can join
The
in.
singing
Ma'am.
could, yeah. I think we can sing collectively.
Yeah, absolutely.
No,
This
no,
can
no,
be
ma'am.
Singing.
Santosh, ma'am, one paper cannot be done by everyone, ma'am. Everybody has to attend this.
Collaboration is very important, as we said.
Ma'am, I told you that. I also told that we are genies. We all are principals, administrators. We are genies. We can do everything.
I think we can sing beautifully when we are doing together.
Ma'am, you have a very beautiful voice. I remember, ma'am, the last when you sung in the last session.
I don't remember. Yeah.
Ma'am, I remember, ma'am. The principals have come out to be very good singers, and I'm talking to the Indian Idol people that they should start up a season with the administrators, where many principals, अरे अरिंदम सर आपके राठौर सर क्या गाना गाते हैं सर, क्या गाना गाते हैं वो, मतलब तो we are finding new singers from the administrators, ma'am. People are knowing that their followers, their the teachers, their students, and everybody is coming to know. Don't worry, ma'am. All are bathroom singers. Nobody knows how to sing, but this caliber is coming out in this show. We see that the theme of the show is that before parting, we should have a wonderful memory also along with that. The first part is that people should know about administrators, क्योंकि वो देखते हैं ना कि गाड़ी में आ रहे हैं, एसी ऑफिस में बैठ रहे हैं, प्रिंसिपल्स हैं, बढ़िया है, but how they have reached over here and what are they facing, right? They should understand. People should know, the teachers and other people. And the second thing about the topic, and the third part is before parting, we should have a wonderful, that experience, or what you have, what the Hindi में कहते हैं यादें. We'll go with that. Richa ma'am, over to you.
So you want me to share my experience as a principal first?
No. We already shared in the first part, ma'am. No gyan over here right now. Only singing.
Okay.
Only singing.
Only singing. So,
Arindan sir, anything in Bangla?
Now, so चलते चलते मेरे ये गीत याद रखना, कभी अलविदा ना कहना, कभी अलविदा ना कहना. That's it.
Arindam sir, anything in Bangla?
Okay, in Bengali. Okay.
Yeah.
Just maybe I'll just recall. Okay, this is a very old song which was sung by, I think, Lata Mangeshkar and Kishore Kumar. It was the duet, and I really like it, so I thought I'll just give it a try. ও আধোয়ালো ছায়াতে কিছু ভালোবাসাতে আজ মন ভোলাতে হবে বলো কার, কারো নয় শুধু যে আমার, ও আধোয়ালো ছায়াতে কিছু ভালোবাসাতে আজ মন ভোলাতে হবে বলো কার, কারো নয় শুধু যে আমার. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Sir, you are for sure going to the final, sir. Another contestant from Jammu after Rathore, sir, who is going to go into the finals for sure. Sir, can you translate that something? What was Kishore Das saying?
Okay, this was the first part Kishore Kumar sings, and it's like a love duet. So he says that who is it today I can see the beautiful place, and who is it that you would like to win your heart? And the lady says that it's you whose heart I would like to win. And that's what the song says.
Amazing, sir, amazing. Shija ma'am, you came late, ma'am. Penalty has to be given.
Sure, sir.
Anything in original, ma'am.
Right, sir. You want me to sing immediately, right?
For sure, ma'am. Everybody has to go for some other works also, ma'am.
Sure. I have chosen a song which is in half Malayalam, half English.
Okay.
So I think other mathematicians also will like it. 1 plus 1 is, sorry, it made a mistake. 1 plus 1, 2 is maths. 1 plus 1 is love. 1 plus 1, 2 is maths. 1 plus 1 is love. This is a song from a Malayalam movie, Kasturi Man, which is continuously singing about this.
So there was no Malayalam in that, ma'am. But there was no Malayalam in that.
Different from calculated mathematics.
It was only calculation. There was no Malayalam in that, ma'am. Malayalam to aayi nahi usme.
Yes. The followed part is Malayalam, actually, which I really don't know how to sing it because I'm not a singer at all.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you so much, and thank you so much. We'll come up to Deepika, ma'am. Deepika, ma'am.
Chandok, so this is absolutely impossible for me. Okay. But I'll try what I remember from my school times. It's a John Denver song. Country roads, take me home to the place I belong. West Virginia, Mountain Mama, take me home. Country roads. Thank you. I mean,
In English, ma'am, it is a very beautiful song in English, ma'am. Because
yes,
it is in English. Because it is in English, ma'am. कहते हैं ना कि इंग्लिश में बोला तो अच्छा ही होगा.
Oh God, you're very funny. Thank you so much. But it's been ages since I did it.
Right, ma'am. But throughout this day, ma'am, we have so much stress, so much that you know. Sometimes I say to my people that we have so small brain and so much pressure we have in the schools.
Absolutely.
Have you know pity on us. हमको थोड़ा बख्श दो भैया, आप तो बख्श दो. So we should have a wonderful time also.
With CBSE extending the exams to 15 June.
Yes, ma'am. We are sailing in the same boat. If we are not having centers, we have to send all the teachers for the evaluation, for the invigilation, as well as an observer or as a flying squad. You have to, you know, everybody is sailing on the same boat. And other things in parallelly. 10th has given exams. Now you have called the 11 students also today. You didn't give them 24 hours to rest.
I'm having a party for them tomorrow and a basketball match tomorrow. I'm just.
Oh, that's great. That's a great idea. I'll apply for sure in my school.
Yeah, do that.
All the 10 students for a party.
Yeah.
So two things are happening. They won't leave you, and they'll become more. They will get more students also. That is a good marketing, ma'am. That's great.
Thank you.
Santosh, ma'am, you are the senior most, ma'am, and you know, I always say that you are the best. So we are going to close up the show, today's show, with your beautiful voice. Ma'am, you're on mute. Ma'am, you're on mute. Ma'am, you're on mute.
I said I'm not a singer at all, but since the weather is good, that reminds me of a beautiful song from Pakiza. मौसम है आशिकाना ए दिल कहीं से उनको ऐसे में ढूंढ लाना मौसम है आशिकाना. Thank you. It was just there outside window. Thank you.
Amazing. You have so beautiful voice here when saying I don't know how to sing. That is the, you know, the worst thing I have. Beautiful. Arandam sir, I tell you that Pramod sir sung with his wife also when he came up to the show last. I'll send you that video also he sung. So, you know, this is the good time we should have with each other. Thank you so much everyone for coming. Arandam sir, Richa ma'am, Nirmal sir, Shija ma'am, Santosh ma'am, Deepika ma'am, had a wonderful time with you. Had a wonderful discussion. Hope to see you in another session with another beautiful topic very soon. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you, sir.
you.